Something happened in Jerusalem recently that's getting the attention of biblical scholars around the world. It connects to an ancient prophecy that people debated for centuries. Would it ever actually come true? By the end of this video, you'll understand why this matters and what it means for us today. Before we dive, please like this video. Let's continue. There's a prediction in the Bible that's so specific and detailed that for hundreds of years, people argued whether it was meant to be taken literally or just symbolically. Let me take you back about 2,600 years to where this all started. There was a Jewish priest named Ezekiel. His life took a dark turn when the Babylonian king invaded Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, and took thousands of people as prisoners, including Ezekiel. So there's Ezekiel living as a captive by a river in Babylon, probably feeling pretty hopeless. That's when he started having these intense supernatural visions. He described creatures with multiple faces, wheels covered in eyes, and God's presence appearing like fire. But among all these visions, there was one that stood out, one that seemed absolutely impossible. God's spirit took Ezekiel to a valley filled with human bones. Not just a few bones, but countless bones covering the entire valley floor. And these bones were completely dried out, bleached white. Every bit of life was gone. Then God asked Ezekiel a strange question. Can these bones live again? By any logic, the answer is no. Dead is dead. But Ezekiel gave a brilliant answer. Lord, only you know. God told Ezekiel to speak to the dead bones. It sounds crazy, but Ezekiel obeyed. And suddenly there was a rattling sound. The bones started moving, connecting to each other, bone to bone, forming complete skeletons. Then tendons appeared. Flesh grew over them. Skin covered everything. But they were still dead. No breath, no life. Then God told Ezekiel to call to the breath itself. When he did, breath entered the bodies and they all stood up. An enormous army of people. Now here's the crucial part. God explained what this vision meant. The dry bones represent Israel, the Jewish people who would be scattered across the world, persecuted, nearly destroyed, until it seemed like they were finished forever. They would feel completely hopeless, cut off from everything. And that's exactly what happened. For nearly 2,000 years, Jewish people were forced out of their homeland, spread across every continent, persecuted wherever they went. Then came the Holocaust. 6 million Jewish people murdered. It looked like the absolute end. But God promised something impossible. He would bring them back to life as a nation, return them to their homeland, and eventually put his spirit within them. A spiritual awakening, not just a political restoration. For centuries, this seemed like it had to be symbolic. How could a people with no homeland become a nation again after 2,000 years? But in the late 1800s, Jewish people started returning to their ancestral land. Just a few pioneers at first, like bones beginning to connect. Then came the Holocaust, and the bones seemed drier than ever. But just 3 years later, on May 14, 1948, something incredible happened. Israel declared independence and became a recognized nation. The Bible actually asks in another passage, can a nation be born in a single day? On May 14, 1948, the answer was yes. In the morning, Israel didn't exist. By evening, it was internationally recognized. The bones came together and stood up, a historical miracle. Remember how the prophecy says that after the bones stand up, the breath would enter them, the spiritual part? This is where recent events become really significant. According to multiple sources in Jerusalem, the number of Jewish people in Israel who now believe Jesus is the Messiah has crossed 500,000. Why does this matter? Context. When Israel became a nation in 1948, there were only about 4,000 Jewish believers in Jesus in the entire world. Now, just 77 years later, there are over 500,000 in Israel alone. This isn't normal growth. This is exactly what the prophecy described. I will put my spirit within you, and you shall live. And it's accelerating. In the last 5 years, the growth has been faster than ever before. Reports are coming from Israel about young people having spiritual experiences, rabbis quietly studying the New Testament, soldiers forming study groups on military bases. Several large congregations in Jerusalem are planning a major gathering in 2026, expecting over 100,000 Israeli Jewish believers to attend. Think about that. 100,000 Jewish people in Jerusalem worshiping Jesus as Messiah. That would have been unthinkable one generation ago. The prophecy also mentions that Jewish people would return from every nation. Since 1948, over 3 million have returned to Israel from Russia, Ethiopia, Europe, the Americas, Asia, Africa, literally every nation, just as predicted. Jesus himself connected his return to this moment. Right before his crucifixion, he told the religious leaders, "You will not see me again until you say, 'Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.'" He was saying, "I won't return until Israel recognizes me." The Apostle Paul confirmed this, writing that Israel has experienced partial spiritual hardening, but eventually would recognize their Messiah, and then he would return. We're watching this unfold right now. The bones came together when Israel became a nation in 1948. Now the breath is entering. Spiritual life is returning. The prophecy also describes nations aligning against Israel in the latter days. It lists specific ancient names that scholars match to modern Russia, Iran, Turkey, Libya, and Sudan. And today, we're seeing exactly these nations taking positions around Israel. Everything the prophecy described is happening. These signs aren't just interesting prophecy facts. They're meant to get our attention. The question is, are you ready? If you want to make sure you're prepared, you can pray something like this. Jesus, I recognize I need you. I believe you died for my sins and rose from the dead. I'm asking you to forgive me and come into my life. I want to follow you. Make me ready for whatever comes next. If you prayed that sincerely, you just made a decision that changes everything. Whether you believe this points to Christ's imminent return, or you're just fascinated by prophecy and history, one thing is clear. We're watching something extraordinary. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Like this video if you found it interesting. And subscribe. We'll keep covering these developments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.